Are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, and how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO, your financial problems will be solved at Parrot TV with Financial Focus University. Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO. Welcome to Financial Focus University. I am a 25-year money manager and founder of a wonderful financial service firm called the Financial Advisors Group. I am currently also the CEO of a virtual personal finance firm called RIVIECCIO Financial Advisors. I am also an adjunct professor of personal finance for two universities, Herbert H. Lehman College and Monroe College, both located in the city of New York. And I'm currently, ladies and gentlemen, pulling my hair out because if you're not aware, it's income tax season and you're looking at a financial advisor. Let me apologize for being a little late tonight. Our 30-minute show is starting now, and we have some wonderful things that we want to share with you. The first thing we'll be covering on our show will be our first segment, always called Bidenomics, where we'll talk a little about the economy for the week. One of the reasons we're starting late tonight is because you might have heard that Joe Biden banned vodka, right? We'll talk about that. I want to get an upset stomach. That's why we're starting a little on the late side. Our second segment will be our how-to segment, or more specifically, how to take $20 and turn it into an extra $1,000 income tax refund. And then our third segment comes from an Ask the Question participant by the name of Kyle in Brooklyn. He is self-employed. He deducts his food, but he doesn't understand how the food deductibility works for someone self-employed. We're going to cover those three areas right now, and stay to the end so I can tell you some special guests that will be with us on next week's show. So let's talk about the economy for the week. Let's talk about Bidenomics. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're familiar with this segment, you know we have had a very bad week. Let me share the week with you in general. It actually started from a world market point of view on Sunday night. The Sunday night that just passed, I know it was 5 days ago, you may not remember, but sadly I will remind you because that's when Putin decided to go all in. And he went all in, and what happened Monday morning when we woke up? We basically knew at that point we were in a war. And our U.S. stock market responded to that war by going down. It went down 2.3%. So Tuesday, Joe Biden got a little mad. And he said, we're going to ban oil. Right? That's what we're going to do. There's going to be a ban on oil. So how did the market respond to that news? It went down again. It went down 0.6%. So on Wednesday, Joe Biden had a press conference. He was 1 hour late, but he has some good news. He said, we're going to start to impose other economic sanctions on Joe Biden. We're going to make their currency worth nothing. And the market responded wonderfully to that. It went up 2.8%. But then, ladies and gentlemen, a little inside tip with our economy, and if you're familiar with this segment, you might be aware of it by now. We get our U.S. economic indicators normally on Thursday and Friday of every week. So irrespective of what else is going on from a world point of view, we know as money managers that Thursday and Friday economic numbers relating to the United States are going to come in. So Thursday, we had many areas covering inflation. Inflation numbers came out. So how were the inflation numbers last month? Ladies and gentlemen, before I go over these numbers, let me remind you, the numbers we're going to go over were last month. This was before the war. So what was CPI? CPI month over month was 0.8%. The core index of inflation, the core index was 0.5%. In very simple terms, ladies and gentlemen, the core index represents what we spend every day to stay alive. I'm not talking luxury goods. Believe it or not, I'm not talking gasoline. I'm talking food and shelter and the things we need in everyday life. They went up month over month, 0.5%. So that means our non-necessity goods, right, actually went up higher. They went up 0.8%. So you might have heard this inflation rate that's around 7.5% end over end for 1 year. That is absolutely correct. What is bringing it to that sky-high cost? A number of factors. But the biggest factor is gasoline, because when that number came in month over month, gasoline prices, as I'm sure most people know, month over month went up 7%. So what would happen if that would happen for 12 months? Well, whatever you're paying now would probably double. So we obviously want to, be careful about that. So what happened today? Today being Friday. Well, Friday, Joe Biden had another press conference, and he said, we're going to put restrictions on trade. And he mentioned vodka, which was probably the worst thing, in my opinion, he could have done, because for some reason, the U.S. stock market took a bad hiccup. It went down 1.3%. So guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We were on another roller coaster ride, right? The beginning of the week, it went down. It went down. Then it jumped back up. And then it went down. And then it went down. And how did it close for the week? As you can see on the chart, it closed for the week at negative 2.2%. So our stock market for 2022 started January 1. Right? So we're already 7 weeks into the market, 7 weeks into the year. Year to date, our market is down 10.4%. If anybody has taken Economics 101, then yes, you are correct in what you're thinking. That number pretty much represents we are one step away from being in a recessionary mode. What does recession mean? That in short terms, it means businesses are not doing good. If businesses aren't doing good, long story short, you're fired. And then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see down at the bottom, my co-host from another show, a political show, his name is Bob Press, and anyone that's familiar with this segment knows that 4 weeks ago, Mr. Press, who knows that I was a former money manager, gave me a call. He obviously has money in the market, and he was scared to death. He says, Anthony, what's going on? Anthony, what's going on? Now, he's not a client of mine, so I treat him like I do every other non-client, right? They don't get my fiduciary duty. I'll try to give him some general things of what I'm thinking, not so much things to do. And I told him at that time, I said, you know, Bob, I see a lot of bad things going on in this economy right now. This was about a month ago. You know, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to suggest anything to you, but if you had to look at it, right, there'd be more minuses than pluses a month ago. Well, the young man said to me, I'm all in. So the moment he told me that, we created something called the Bob Prex Index. And as you can see, we've had this index now for the last 3 weeks. And for the last 3 weeks, it is now negative 3.8%. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a very bad economic week. I don't know the answer or the solution because I'd be the president. And trust me when I tell you, you don't want me to be the president. But you might want me to be your financial advisor. So I can't give you any specific advice. Feel free to reach out to me if you like. But let me give you some general advice right now. Anyone that has a financial advisor, give them a call, please, and tell them you want an asset allocation test. You want to retest your mental thought of your money, how the market is working right now. You might want to readjust your portfolio in an easy way or maybe in a bigger way. But what's most important, based on the numbers I've shown you, is that please go see a professional and talk about your portfolio. Again, if anyone wants to give me a call, it's 347-575-5045. We will be back in a moment.
World Inkers Monthly Magazine is a fine source for your literary interests. It's an all-source magazine with poetry, prose, and essays and articles, as well as interviews. It's all full-color art and photography from a variety of voices and artists. You will find this magazine entertaining. This is an all-purpose readership, and we are looking for new voices. This sleek, full-color edition of World Inkers Monthly Magazine will be something pleasant for your eyes as well as for your mind. And we're looking for authors for one book promotion in the magazine. If you're a business, we want to promote your business. You may submit your book reviews, your academic or non-academic articles on the humanities and the arts, as well as your literary writing and creative output to publication.worldinkers@gmail.com. World Inkers Monthly Magazine does not spare any ink. Keep inking for World Inkers Monthly Magazine.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. And might I suggest before we start our next segment, look up that book in Amazon. I understand it's wonderfully priced. Okay, segment 2. How to take $20 and turn it into a $1,000 extra $1,000 income tax refund. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start off from the start by saying I lied. Actually, you can take a $20 twist and turn it into a $2,000 extra income tax refund. So let's go to the chart, and I'm going to tell a little story before we go into the chart and analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be very frank about income tax season before we understand this wonderful little trick. We all have to pay our fair share in taxes, right? Now, I don't know what that is. That's what your tax advisor should figure out for you, right? And it's very easy for him or her to figure out. What do I mean by your correct tax bracket? What you pay fairly in taxes based on your income minus your deduction, right? But of course, during the year, most people always want it both ways. They say, "Oh no, I want to pay as little in taxes during the course of the year. I want to do whatever I can not to pay any taxes or pay something very low. And then at the end of the year, what do? You come to me and you say, Anthony, I want $1 million refund, right? Well, did you put $1 million in the kitty? No. Oh, so now you want me to be Donald Trump, right? Gentlemen and ladies, that is illogical. So, notwithstanding the illogic, let's talk about how to get a $2,000 extra income tax refund? Well, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, tip one, I want you to go to your income tax preparer and find out what is your correct dollar number that you should pay in taxes. Your tax man or woman can figure that out. After you do that, and if you are in what we call the positive mode, then, ladies and gentlemen, through a form that you can get at your job, and it's most notably on the federal side known as a W-4 form, that is the form that you are telling the United States government how much money to take out of your paycheck. So if one took out an extra $20 on the federal side, and if they took out an extra $20 on the city and state side, and if they got paid weekly, well, then in that funnel at the end of the year, the IRS would have $1,040, and the state that you live in would also have $1,040. You put it together, that's over $2,000. Are you going to pay taxes on that? What did I say to do with step one, right? Step one, you find out exactly where you're supposed to be at. Because once you're there, everything else is gravy. So when you say to your tax preparer at the end of the year, ladies and gentlemen, I suggest, as you can see from the chart, as soon as you get your taxes done, you ask your tax preparer for a W-4 form. At this time of the year, they'll probably have one. And forget the formula that's on it, ladies and gentlemen, because all that will do is confuse you. I'll give you another little inside tip. On these forms, you got this whole 4-page formula. Just go right down to the last line. Just go right down to the last line. You know what that line says? It says, how much in dollars would you like to increase or decrease it? Right? So it takes you all out of the formula. And again, as you can see with $20, even if you just did it on the federal side, that would bring it back an extra $1,000. If you did it both on the federal and the city and state, that would bring you an extra $2,000. And again, if you go back to step one, knowing what your correct tax line is, then we know that's all gravy. And if it's all gravy, please give me a call because I'm hungry and I like to go out to dinner. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this helped. And if you need more explanations on it, we do have an article on the New York Parrot website of the same title that goes into it in bigger detail. If anyone needs any specific information, feel free to give me a call, 347-575-5045. We'll be back in a moment. Hey guys, you still with us? Okay, you know what, guys? I think that's our producer that might have went to bed. So let me see if we can talk about segment 3. Segment 3, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully the charts will catch up with us, is we had a question, and as I always do, I always encourage people to give us a call, or you can see our information down at the slide, where we encourage people to give us a call and ask me an income tax question. The quicker I get the question, the more I can, of course, put some more mental analysis to it. But what this show is hopefully designed to do is to help us and you with your financial question. So Kyle from Brooklyn had a question. Kyle had a very good question. Kyle is self-employed, and he takes out a lot of clients to dinner. And he knows that that food is tax deductible, but he doesn't understand the tax deductibility areas because he knows that the tax deductibility areas are different for someone that works in corporate America versus someone that's self-employed. So, so to go over his question, I had to remind him, okay, so to answer the first part of your question, which is where is it on the form? It is on a Schedule C form, and it is schedule line 23. But I'm sure what is confusing Kyle is not that line. What is probably confusing him is an area called 30, 50, 100, and those are in percentages. And what those means is that those are your tax deductibilities based on either if you're fully employed in corporate America or self-employed. So he is self-employed, so he's able to deduct up to 100% deductibility, not 30, not 50, because 30 and 50 fall into the what I call the corporate America area, the people that get paid W-2, and they might have deductibilities on their meals if their job is not reimbursing them for those meals. That gets a little complex, but those 30, 50 areas relate to that area. For self-employment, it's 100%. But we're still not 100% done, because now the government says, okay, is it outside that you're taking someone out, or is it inside in your home? Well, part of the home deductibility rules for self-employment is that we're allowed to deduct what we call a percentage of our expenses based on the percentage of area that we're using in our home. So if he would have taken out that client, or maybe put it another way, if he would have bought that client something to eat and made it in his home and had that client at his home and prepared it and served it, that $1, let's call it $1, would be worth a 25 to maybe 50 cents deduction. But if he took him out, and I'm going to mention the place because I know this gentleman, if he took him to Junior's restaurant in Brooklyn, where I know he does a lot of quote unquote entertainment, then subsequently he will get a $1 for $1 deduction. Mr. Producer, we're on segment 3.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely convince you.
Hey guys, welcome back. I think we got it together now. So we're going to just quickly go over segment 3 again, because I do want you to see the charts we had laid out. I'll be brief because I think that we should understand. Again, this is ask the question. A friend of mine, Kyle from Brooklyn, gave me a call. He said, Anthony, I go out to eat a lot. I take clients out to eat. This is how I make my money. This is how I entertain them. Where do I find that on the form? And B, what is the deductibility for it? And as we discussed a few moments ago, again, when you look at the food rules on line 23, Schedule C, right? The first thing is that it just asks you for the dollar amount. But on the top, and this is what confuses most people, is that there's what I call the 30, 50, 100% rule. And that rule is very tricky because, again, the 30, 50% rule basically applies to people in corporate America. The 100% rule applies to self-employed people. So if you had $1 and went to, as I said a moment ago, to Junior's restaurant, then that whole $1 is tax deductible. But if he decided to make his own cheesecake instead of taking them out and had it home, well, then what we call the 100% rule does not apply. What applies is the percentage that he's allotted in his home. So in simple terms, if he's deducting 25% of his expenses at home because 25% of his home is used as a home-based business, well, then that's his deductibility. So as you can see, it would be close to the 30% range. So yes, food is tax deductible for both self-employed and employed people. Employed people, I strongly recommend you speak to your tax preparer to find out if you're eligible in those areas. Again, for self-employed people like myself, we know that we're eligible. The question is where are we going to eat? And of course, self-employed people, and this is where it gets even trickier, we do both, right? So I'll be now in a little while, I'm be entertaining next week. I'll be having some stuff at home the following week. So we integrate. But within that integration, as I hope most self-employed people are doing, we have to have them tracked. We have to have them appropriately tracked. So when we give this information to our tax man, right, we make sure that we get the appropriate percentage to put on paper to make sure our taxes are done correctly. So Kyle, make sure that you keep good tracking. Make sure when you take out and entertain your clients, whether it's the Junior's restaurant, and I know there's some other wonderful restaurants in Borough Hall, Brooklyn, you make sure you keep a separate track on that. And vice versa. If you decide to entertain at home, you make sure you keep separate tracking for that. So, Kyle, I hope we were able to help you, and anyone that falls in that area, I hope we were able to help you as well. And as I said earlier, if anyone has a question to ask, please feel free to reach out to the show. This is the segment where, whether it's income taxes, whether it's budgeting, whether it's credit or debt, whatever financial problem is bothering you, I want you to feel free to reach out to us, and I will try to the best of my ability. I do have 30 years of gray hair, so I think I can help a little bit, but give us a question. We'll be glad to help. Ladies and gentlemen, before I wish you a good night, I want to share with you some wonderful people we're going to have on our show next week. We're going to have John Cena, Chief Jay Strongbow, Bruno Sammartino, and Lou Thez. In spirit, they will not be here. But as you can see, we will have our legendary sports and wrestling writer by the name of Rich Mancuso. Anyone that knows wrestling might know him from a show from many years ago called Keep It in the Ring, which I believe was on WFAN during that time. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware, in full disclosure, I used to be, before a wrestling fan, or I should say after a wrestling fan, a 40-year wrestling fan, I also used to write for wrestling magazines. So ladies and gentlemen, next week we're going to have Rich, and we're going to talk Wall Street and wrestling. We're going to talk about how much the wrestlers make, how much the organization makes. We're going to talk about WWE. We're going to talk about AEW, and we're even going to talk about who might come through the forbidden door in which organization. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me next Friday, 5 p.m. I promise I'll be on time. Have a good night.
Are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, if how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO, your financial problems will be solved at Parrot TV with Financial Focus University.